Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School, and as you know, I like to chime in every now and then with intellectual chocolate. Intellectual chocolate is pretty much intelligent Black conversation about what's happening in the Black community. And there was something that was brought to my attention today involving the whole situation that you might have seen with Charlamagne the God and this rape allegation from 17 years ago that involved a young girl, a girl who was 15 at the time. As you know, Charlamagne was accused of the unthinkable, and he was charged, and but he was eventually acquitted. He wasn't actually convicted of anything, and all that stuff. But but we live in a world that's a little more complex than that. We live in a world where things, I'll tell you what, we live in a world where it's a hard time sort of sorting between fact and fiction, and what's right and what's wrong. We live in a world with digital lynch mobs, digital activists, the Twitter revolutionaries and stuff like that, and the people that have an opinion about everything. And I guess I can't talk too much because I have an opinion too. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm as screwed up as everybody else. Who knows? So anyway, so as you know, I spoke about the whole situation with Charlamagne mainly because I wanted everybody to know I'm not going to back away from it. I told you guys the truth about Charlamagne and what I think about the guy, how we've interacted. I've never seen him do anything that makes me think he'd rape somebody. But then again, as I told you guys very clearly, you do not know. You do not know. So same thing is true in general. I remember when I was in college, I had a best friend that was actually accused of sexual assault. And I didn't know what to think. He's my best friend and you want to support your friend. But at the same time, you don't know what he's like in the bedroom. You don't know what he did. So I can't vouch. I can tell you what Charlamagne did toward me, but I can't tell you what he's done toward everyone. And I stick by that. And that's been my position from the very beginning. And I don't know if people think that that's good or bad, given that I'm not going to, convict him with my opinion. I personally am a believer in facts and evidence and stuff like that. But then again, though, sometimes the facts and evidence don't give us everything that we want. And I think that's why we have a lot of people that sort of feel like, the police can say whatever, but and the so-called facts and evidence can say this and say that, or the acquittal might have happened. But there's times where people just decide somebody's guilty or somebody's innocent, and that's it. I think that's a dangerous, very dangerous road to go down, because I don't know if you want to live in a society where people can just be convicted based on somebody's opinion. I don't think that we can live in a world where, somebody just says something and then you're done. I mean, that's Nazi Germany, right? that's a pretty scary place to be in. You going back to how your ancestors lived, where they would they would say, oh, that nigga touched my booty, and next thing you know, he's getting beat up and killed and everything else. And so part of the reason I felt compelled to talk about it was to try to encourage at least the people that have common sense, which is probably about 3% of you. About 3% of all the people out here now seem to have common sense. Maybe it's 5%, I don't know. But I'm encouraging the 3 to 5%ers, the common sense people, to kind of, sort of try to be balanced with this, right? To ask these difficult questions. For example, when we were talking about Bill Cosby, my question was, if you think Bill Cosby's a good guy, why do you think it's impossible that this good guy could not have raped somebody, right? With all this evidence, all these accusations, all this information coming out, what makes you think he couldn't have done it? But then on the flip side of that, I say to people, look, if you think Bill Cosby's a bad guy, why does that not annihilate every good thing he's ever done? Why does it not matter that he used his television platform to help a lot of people? Why does it not matter that he gave more money to HBCUs than any celebrity living or dead? Why does it not matter that he used the Cosby Show as an opportunity to elevate his people? Why does that not matter now? Why does it not matter all these schools that Cosby gave money to? Why are they trying to act like he never existed? You ain't got to do that. You ain't got to be extremist. Now, at the same time, justice matters, right? Justice has to matter. And I'm gonna tell you what, when I heard that Angela Rye was defending Charlamagne, I thought it was kind of interesting. I wasn't surprised. Angela is pretty cool with Charlamagne. For the sake of full disclosure, I'm not cool with Angela Rye. I'll be honest with you. I met her in person in Oklahoma. I was doing an event in Oklahoma City, and I think the speech is on the internet. She was on the panel before me. I was the keynote speaker. And I said to my manager, I said, I heard Angela Rye is here. I heard that she's, coming. So let's invite her to the All Black National Convention. I heard she's fire. I heard she's good at what she does. So me and my manager, that was our understanding. Our agreement was that we were going to talk to Angela and ask her if she wanted to come. Well, so I walked up to her and I went to give her a hug. And the first thing that was very interesting was her hug was kind of one of those like church hugs, like, who the hell are you hugging me? Like, get away from me, and now that doesn't bother me too much because I don't expect everybody to know who I am. I really don't. I never do. I just thought, well, maybe she don't know nothing about me. It's all good. I was like, hey, I'm not a threat. I just want to let you know, hey, I like what you do on CNN. I think you're good. And she said, thank you. But here's the thing, there was a coldness there. There was a real coldness and a distance there. And it was so cold that my manager at that moment, she thinks we think we're in sync in our thinking a lot of times. And she said, I just decided right then that she wouldn't be a person I wanted to invite because we didn't like what we saw there. But that was enough. That was it. There wasn't going to be much else to say about it after that. But then afterward, what really bothered me was that the organizers of the event were extremely upset. We had gotten to know the organizers. Whenever I go give a speech, I like to pay homage to the people who spent thousands of dollars bringing us in, because I have a lot of respect for that. I know it's not easy to do. And they'd spent probably, these speeches, it's an easy gig for people who are in the public eye. You get paid. Honestly, it's a dream come true. You can get paid $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 just to go talk for 30, 45 minutes. It's an honor, and I've never taken that for granted. I've always felt like it was a complete blessing to be able to do that. But some people don't see it the same way. And when we were backstage, there were a lot of people who were really, really upset because they felt that they had just been completely dissed by Angela. The organizers, I'm talking about the people who paid the bills. You know me, I'm a believer that you don't disrespect the hand that feeds you. I was like, thank you very much. It was great. What else can I do for you? They said, oh, she has hardly talked to us since she got here, and she left and didn't even say goodbye. And I remember I was sitting there and I was thinking, man, like this sucks. I saw these, they were all really sad. It was like a really dark mood in the back. And I was sitting there thinking, man, I'm just going to be quiet because you don't go out and, when you go out and you are a public figure and you say something negative about another public figure, if you check them in public, it causes problems. It causes people to think like, that you're not like, that you don't fit in or that you are trying to be disruptive or you're trying to hate on somebody. And I was like, man, I don't want to do that. But what I'm seeing here really bothers me. And I remember thinking to myself, I literally said to myself, I said, Boyce, you're the only person in this room who has the ability to check her ass on this shit because you don't do that. I remember being very, at risk of sounding self-righteous. I remember I get very offended when I see celebrity types or people who get on TV and get a little bit of shine, being extremely disrespectful of the public, especially people who paid thousands of dollars for you to come speak. You respect that, And so all I did was my mouth got away from me. My mouth got me in into some shit, as y'all know it normally does. And so I got home and somebody asked me about it. Said, so you met Angela Rye? What'd you think? And I literally wrote on Facebook. I said, I met so-and-so. He was a great guy, wonderful person, had a great conversation. And I also met Angela Rye, and all I can say is no comment. And that was it. I just said no comment. But when you say no comment, you're really making a comment. So that was me probably being passive aggressive and a little tacky. I don't know. Maybe y'all think it was corny for me to do that, but I felt like those people needed representation, and I felt that it seemed like they felt powerless to really even get her attention because for a lot of people like that, it's like on to the next city, on to the next city, on to the next city. And they don't care. They get your money, they bounce, they go to somewhere else, and they don't care if they offended, 10,000 people in Omaha, Nebraska. They got another city, they got 100 other cities to go to. And I see it all the time and it burns me up. I hate it, So anyway, but this pissed her off. This pissed me, so immediately after that, I remember I got a little text from Charlamagne that said, what's going on with you and Angela? And I just text back the truth. I said, man, I saw her in Oklahoma and she was just mean to everybody and nobody liked her. And she was very cold and blah, 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 blah. And I think that might have caused a little bit of a drift in our friendship, even though I still respect Charlamagne. I'll never have anything negative to say about him in that regard from a professional standpoint, because I know that he always showed respect to me directly and individually. Whereas Angela, on the other hand, seemed pretty upset. She got really mad, but she did what I needed her to do. She said she came back and clapped back on Instagram and said all this and said that. And I said, no, here's the thing. You need to apologize. I said, you need to call those people up and apologize to them because what you did was disrespectful. And next thing you know, she's on the phone like, oh, well, it was a misunderstanding and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, it was a misunderstanding. Okay, now we all understand each other, don't we? Now, of course, you can't do things like that without there being consequences. So the consequence that came to me was about maybe 3 months later, I got invited to join or by the UCLA Black Alumni Association. Some people in there invited me in to do a panel and to do, actually, they wanted me to do a series at UCLA. And I was kind of hesitant. I don't trust big white racist institutions like UCLA. I just don't. I don't think black people should really, bust their ass to be affiliated with them. They leave black people in debt. They treat you like shit, and then they still put you 100K in debt. Think about this. You end up 100K in debt from people that treat you like shit. Like UCLA won't go near a black man unless he's dribbling a basketball or throwing a football. They don't got no use for black people unless you're playing a sport. They don't want to know if you can do biology. They don't want to know if you are going to be a straight A student. They don't want to know if you got something to add in the administration. All they want to know is, can that nigga dribble? That's it. They're like, can that nigga dribble a basketball, throw a football? Go look it up. Go look on YouTube. There's tons of anger from black students at UCLA because of the racism, right? So I was like, are y'all really sure that y'all want to do this? Like, is this really, I don't think that's not the place for me, and I got assurances from some people that were connected. I assumed that they knew the right people or whatever. So I said, okay, bet, let's do it. So I got on a plane. I came all the way from Guyana to be part of this thing. And it included the rapper Common, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and a few other people. And then I remember seeing that Angela was dating Common. Now I think since then he's kind of dumped her or something, which good for him. Go find you a better woman, because she don't seem like a nice lady, to be honest with you. But at the time they were dating. And so I flew all the way to California, packed, all my shit, spent thousands of dollars going all the way out there. And then after I get off the plane, I find out that we've uninvited you to the event. So of course I'm livid. I wouldn't have been mad if you never invited me. I wouldn't have even been mad if they'd uninvited me before I got on a damn plane from 4,000 miles away, or however many miles away I was in Guyana. I just was mad because I spent all this money. You got to pay for the flight, the hotel. I flew out my manager. We had to deliver books, all kinds of stuff. And then you uninvite me. And so some people, some little birdies in the UCLA Black Alumni Association, I was hearing from this guy named Bobby Grace. Now I think he was kind of the guy in charge, and he was the one saying all this. But then I was hearing from people who were in the association who were like, no, this was not our decision. This was not something we wanted to do. And I said, yeah, that kind of happens. Usually the coon in charge, it gets scared of people like me, but there's usually people in the organization that actually appreciate, my candor and what I do and what I represent. And so they were telling me kind of what was really going on. And a lot of them felt that Angela Rye was connected to that. That a lot of the impression I was getting from them was Angela Rye was like, well, if you bring in Boyce Watkins, I'm not letting Common go on the stage. So I don't know if Common was like her puppy or what the situation was, but basically that's kind of what was being done. And so, theoretically, Common's like, he's on TV. White people love him. He does like commercials for Samsung or something. I don't know. So I'm not that guy. You'll never see me on a commercial for a white product ever, So I guess it's like, well, we got to choose Boyce Watkins or Common. Boyce Watkins or Common. Shit, I'd probably choose Common too. You sell more tickets that way. But the problem was, the reason we had to sue them was because, a lot of people that supported me showed up to the event and were very unhappy. I have mad love in Los Angeles. I walk down the street in LA and I get brothers and sisters stopping me on the street, talking to me. So I knew from them they would hear something too. And I think that was appropriate, because you can't have this Negro politicking going on when it comes time to actually get something done. Look, if you made the invitation and I invested the money, then you go through with it. But when you start getting all tacky and corny with it, then that kind of makes you all look dumb, and it makes the UCLA Black Alumni Association look terrible, because me, I'm not going to be quiet. I'm gonna go talk about it. So anyway, that was my interaction with Angela Rye. And so if you ever want to know why Boyce Watkins really doesn't have much interest in talking to Angela Rye, that's a big part of the reason why. But here's the thing about Angela Rye that's really interesting. So let me tell you about what Angela said about Charlamagne that really caused Black Twitter, white Twitter, liberal feminist Twitter to go crazy, because she's got those liberal overseers that kind of control her. That's why you got to be careful, about either becoming or rolling with a lot of the Negroes on TV because they have bosses, they have overseers, they have pimps, they have people politically that control what they're allowed to talk about. So, for example, if immigration becomes the hot topic, those Negroes will be talking about immigration. Broken families becomes a topic, they're going to be on there talking about broken families because they got to do whatever it takes to get CNN to invite them back again. And if they get too far off the ranch, they're going to get exiled, just like I did. I got banned from CNN for a whole year when the Obama ran for president. I literally was blacklisted. My publicist was like, every time they call me, they always say they say they want somebody who does what you do, and I suggest you, and they say okay, and then they come back later in the day and they always say no thanks, we changed our mind. And so she said, I think you're blacklisted. I said, yeah, I think I am too. But the good thing about that, though, the good thing about being blacklisted by white people is that you do have freedom. You can say what you want, do what you want. So instead of sitting around crying about it, like you saw Angela on TV crying about racism. I don't cry about racism. I fight back. You ain't gonna never see me crying because white people don't like me. I don't give a damn. I don't like you neither. If you ain't got no respect for me and my people, I ain't got no respect for you. And I ain't got to apologize for it. I ain't got to sit down and beg and get on my knees and kiss your butt crack. I don't have to do any of that, and I'm not gonna do any of that. So anyway, let me keep going. Let me get back to the topic at hand because I didn't get off track and everything. Just whatever. All right. So here's what they said on News One. So this is kind of what happens when you are kind of down with the white liberals and you get off of the ranch and you say something that they can't support. I don't have a big problem with Angela being honest about her friend. I'll tell you where my issue kind of comes into play. All right, so but then again, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. And a lot of the black people on CNN, whether it's the Angela Rye or the what's her face, Van Jones types, they have certain people in the establishment that they cannot upset. And it is what it is. It doesn't mean that they're not trying to do righteous work. It doesn't mean they don't add value, but it does mean that when you have prominent black people that have a puppet that's kind of managing what they can and can't say, or somebody's going to punish them, put the smack down on them, you have to sort of understand the difference between times where they're supporting your agenda and putting black agendas first versus when they're putting a liberal agenda cloaked as a black agenda, like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was not a black agenda. Black Lives Matter was created by white people. It was created by white liberals because they wanted to promote homosexuality in the black community. Doesn't mean homosexuality is evil. If you're gay and you're on this podcast, I love you anyway. I'm glad you're here. But the fact of the matter is that there is a gay agenda. There's an agenda in which they want to train black people. They're like, okay, we got to train these little monkeys to understand that if you don't get in lockstep with what we believe about homosexuality, then something's wrong with you. And I beg to differ against that point. I stand up and challenge that point. I don't believe in homophobia. I don't believe in the mistreatment of people who are gay. I don't believe in any of that. But I believe black people should have sovereignty. Sovereignty means that we have the right and the ability to decide at any given point in time on any issue what we believe without regard to what you have told us to believe. We don't care if you think that our opinion is barbaric. We don't care if you think that we're not as caught up to the times as you are. We don't care that you think something's wrong with us and think that we're whatever it is, homophobic, thisophobic, thatophobic. You know what? Get out of here with that shit. We don't need all of that. We don't need all of that. So anyway, so let me read what Angela said about Charlamagne real quick. By the way, as I do is I got to respond to a quick little text message. Do me a favor, make sure you hit the like button, the share button, and the subscribe button. Take 1 second and hit those buttons like repeatedly so that we can tell people about these live streams, because this is where Black intelligence lives. This is where, Intellectual Chocolate is a space that is designed to be Black and sovereign and smart and forward thinking. We're building for the future. So please, please, please take a second, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Give me 1 second here. All right. Okay. So I had to send a quick message. Actually, I was speaking about my manager. I have to send her a quick message. So, all right. So here's what they wrote on News One. On News One, they said, we all love Angela Rye on CNN. Now, they kind of lean toward that Black Democrat disposition. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong being a Democrat. But the question is, are you a Black person who's a Democrat, or are you a Democrat who happens to be Black? Pay attention. Think about that real quick, because News One, they're kind of like sometimes they act like Democrats who just happen to be Black, right? And what that means is that the Democratic Party is going to be in the driver's seat in terms of when it comes to the automobile of thought, right? When it comes to what you think and the direction your community goes. If you are a Democrat who happens to be Black, that means the party is going to lead and guide everything about your Blackness. But if you are a Black person who happens to be a Democrat, that means that your Blackness comes primary. Your Blackness is in the driver's seat. and you being a Democrat is secondary or tertiary. It is in the back seat. It is in the maybe in the driver's, maybe in the passenger seat, or the back seat, or the trunk. Or sometimes you leave that shit on the side of the road. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a difference between being a Democrat who happens to be black and a black person who happens to be a Democrat. If you want to know my position, I don't know. Shit, I'm probably a black person who happens to be a Democrat. I mean, if the Democrats act like they got some damn sense, y'all start really pushing for real reparations, y'all start putting us at the front of the line, yeah, you might get my vote. You might get my vote, but you ain't guaranteed to get my vote. My ancestors didn't die for me to vote for you. My ancestors died for me to have a choice. My ancestors did not die for me to have a better pimp. I don't want no pimp. I find pimps and I cut their throat. I don't want a pimp. So I don't care if the Republicans are trying to pimp me or the Democrats or anybody else. No, I don't want a pimp. I done been approached by pimps in every party. I done got approached by the Republicans, like, oh, Dr. Boyce, your opinions are different from those liberals who want to keep black people on the plantation. Why don't you join the Republican Party? No. Why the hell would I want to be a Republican? Are you out of your mind? And then I'll have people, oh, well, Dr. Boyce, I know you believe in the mass incarceration issue and da-da-da-da-da, so maybe you should be a Democrat because we got to vote for the Democrats. What have the Democrats done for black people? All the Democratic Party does is make the NAACP look like a bunch of punks. All they do is make you think that showing up and voting for them is going to make a difference when your communities are just the same now as they were before Obama got into office. All the Democratic Party has pretty much done is taken every potentially righteous and strong black leader and turned them into a marshmallow. My God, we had the greatest opportunity in the world when we had Obama and Michelle in the White House. Obama ain't got no balls. Obama had no testicles. If he had half the testicles Donald Trump has, the whole community would have advanced light years. Any little balls he had, he used it for LGBT. He used it for feminism. He didn't use it for y'all. Shit, seriously, Michelle got bigger balls than Barack. I would have preferred Michelle to have run the White House because Michelle is a real black woman in a lot of ways. From what I understand, from what I've heard from people that I know who know her, I told you I live down the street from the Obamas. A block away, I could jog to his house in 2 minutes or less back when I was fat. That's how close they lived to my house. So I know a lot of things the public does not know. And I'm going to tell you, I would have been much happier if Michelle had been running that White House. Barack probably couldn't get my vote. Michelle, now I would have voted for her, especially if the real Michelle came out. Anyway, let me keep going. So let me read what's on News One. They said, we all love Angela Rye on CNN, but her recent comments about Charlamagne the God and rape accusations have some people heated. Last week, Charlamagne's sexual assault accusations from 2001 resurfaced. Allegedly, a then 22-year-old Jessica Reed court documents accused Charlamagne of, quote, willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously engaging in penile vaginal intercourse with a 15-year-old female child. Charlamagne pled guilty to, quote, contributing to the delinquency of a minor and was sentenced to 3 years of probation. So remember that what he pled guilty to was not the same as what he was originally accused of. I think that's an important point to just understand. Doesn't mean I'm supporting it one way or the other. Doesn't mean I know what happened. Doesn't mean none of that. Just means that he was convicted of things like giving alcohol to a minor, things like that. There was no evidence that he had sex with this girl. I think that's important to understand. Now, there are people who say, yeah, but he used a condom and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, I mean, he's making the statement publicly. Look, DNA says that I didn't have sex with her. And so it kind of becomes a funny thing, right? Because if the girl had sex that night, if she went to court and said, or went to the police and they did the little tests and everything, the rape kit test, I guess it can test to see if you've been penetrated. And they say, okay, well, she clearly had sex and she was with Charlamagne all night. Then people would say, well, then, you know, he was the guy that did it. But that's not the same as actually proving something, right? So I think that that's the part that, you know, if you state it, I think people can only agree that it's true. The problem is that people kind of make our own truths now. And there are times where you can be right, but you still piss people. The more right you are about something, the more you piss them off. You know, it's almost like in a marriage when you have, like, I knew a woman who was much smarter than her husband. Her husband was a dummy. He was an idiot, didn't finish school, couldn't finish anything, wasn't very bright. And she was like a PhD. So they would argue about stuff. And he would say something stupid, something, you know, that she'd known since she was 12. And she'd be like, no, honey, actually, that's not true. You know, Ben Franklin didn't discover America or whatever, but we know Christopher Columbus didn't either. But you know, she would kind of say, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, no, that's true. I know it's true. She'd be like, yeah, no, honey, it's not true. And she's dealing with it. He had a big ego. Ain't nothing worse than a dumbass with a big ego. You know, a dumbass who is not only stupid and wrong, but they always think they're right. I don't know if you know any people like that, like who really have, like when like I can deal with arrogance, I can deal with ignorance. What I can't deal with is ignorance and arrogance in the same person. Like that's annoying, right? When you're stupid, but you're arrogantly stupid. Like you don't know shit, but you think you know everything. That's like, that makes my head explode. That makes me want to just like shoot myself in the head and jump off a cliff, right? So anyway, so she would argue with him. Now here's the problem though. She knew how to research things. She would say, well, honey, let me look it up. I'm gonna show you. I'm looking on Google, and she would show him, like, look, honey, look, it says right here, Ben Franklin was a different guy. He didn't discover, or he's not given credit for discovering the United States, blah, blah, blah. And all that would do when she proved him wrong was make him madder. You ever go through that? I think women go through that more than men, because men, we got our egos and we kind of get stupid sometimes. But I've seen men deal with dumb women too. And you ever see that where somebody like gets mad because you proved them wrong, and then they say, well, do you want to be right or do you want to be married? Right? So she had to stand down and kind of quiet herself and pretend to be like dumb herself down because her husband was stupid. That's why I tell my daughters, like, don't marry a dumbass man. Do not marry a man. Women instinctually, I believe, are not attracted and do not have good relationships with stupid men. Y'all, women don't typically like men who are shorter. Women don't typically like men who make less money. Women don't typically like men who have less power in a lot of cases, and they don't like men who are just dumb. I just really don't think so. So anyway, let me get back to it. So in a way, that's what it's kind of like. That's what, you know, our society has become dumbed down. And everybody feels like they know everything. Everybody's got a little opinion because they all get on Instagram, social media, and they state their opinion. But many of these opinions are not backed by facts, they're not backed by evidence, they're not backed by education, they're not backed by research, because we have a dumb society. Our school system sucks. We don't teach people en masse. Even in financial literacy, it's hilarious. You know, I teach an 8-year-old stuff that most adults don't know, because we have a society that's more caught up, that cares more about what Cardi B wore to the Met Gala ball than they care about learning Black history, right? That's the world you live in. It's a stupid, stupid world. So anyway, so here's the thing. So with this particular thing with Charlamagne, look, you could say, look, here's what he was convicted of. Here's what they proved. Here's what the DNA test said. But for some people, that's only going to piss them off even more. And to some extent, you know, there is a valid point to be made about the fact that Jessica Reed, you know, who's now 32, pretty much said, look, a long time ago, I was gonna, you know, I wanted to press charges, but I was 15 and my mother didn't want me to press charges. So I didn't. And that makes you feel for her, right? Like, wow, maybe something really did happen. But at the same time, a fair person has to say, well, yeah, but you didn't. You know, there's, you know, he was not convicted. Do you treat him like he was convicted, or do you just say, okay, well, you know, if he does it again, we'll get him next time, right? What can you say, right? So anyway, so he said Reed 32 is asking for the case to be reopened. The radio show host responded to the allegations via his attorneys in a statement which read, now here's his statement. He says, more than 17 years ago, Charlamagne was accused of a sexual assault. He never had sexual relations or any physical contact with the accuser, and even provided DNA to prove it. At the time of these claims, Charlamagne cooperated fully with the authorities, and after the investigation, this charge against him was dropped. That's credible, right? I mean, that's not an outrageous statement. You know, I mean, it's like, okay, well, can it be verified? Yeah, they got some proof on this side. So anyway, so let me see. So let me tell you where Angela Rye gets in the mix. So this is where Angela Rye comes in. And, you know, Angela Rye, you know, his friend steps up and says, you know, she's deleted her tweets, which kind of shows that she's a little nervous about what she said. People probably told her, like, you better take that down, or your pimp's going to come and slap you. Because, you know, these Negroes, they're owned by the Democrats. So it says, Rye responded to a user wanting to know her thoughts on Charlamagne and wrote, quote, my brother is neither a molester nor a rapist. He never drugged anyone. He never touched the girl. Read more about the incident from 2001 in his book, Black Privilege, and note that he regrets having a party where underage folks were drinking when he was young and dumb. That's the only thing he pled to. Why? Because there was no physical evidence connecting him to the girl. Why? Because he never touched her. So anyway, so to the victim, she added, she will not, oh, here's another part that she said that I think caused her some problems. I'm gonna tell you the 2 points in Angela's statement that probably caused her the most trouble. She also says, quote, she will not, talking about the victim, she says, she will not come up on my brother off a lie. I stand for truth before I stand for anything else. God bless you and your family. Now, here's the thing about the, you know, Angela's statement that I think it's good, it would cause her problems. And if she were my friend, which she's not, I'm not. I told you I'm not a fan of Angela. I don't think she's a nice person. I would probably have told her that, making a definitive statement about what Charlamagne did. I don't know if that's the right move all the time, because you can't make a definitive statement about what anybody did or did not do. You can't. You just can't. Unless y'all having sex, or even if you were having sex, you still can't make a definitive statement about what happened 17 years ago, right? I believe that her friendship with him definitely painted her views. I don't think she would have made a statement like that for someone that she wasn't buddies with, right? So it was a political kind of thing. I think she could have made her point without being definitive about two things. One, definitive about what he did and did not do. You've heard me. I've never been definitive. I've never said I could vouch for what Charlamagne did. Remember, I worked with Charlamagne, and I've worked with Russell Simmons, among many other people, hundreds and hundreds of other people. And when I brought up both of those situations, or when I was asked about that, I was never definitive, because you don't know. When my best friend was accused of sexual assault, I was not definitive. I was like, well, I support his right to fairness. I support his right to truth. I support his right to justice. But sometimes justice comes and kicks you in your ass if you did something wrong. So me saying I defend his right to truth and his right to justice means that I want the truth to come out. And in the case of my best friend, what led me to support the situation more was when it was revealed, and this is something that y'all got to understand, when it was revealed that this woman had falsely accused 5 other men of rape in the past year and a half. So that's when I was, and then there was no evidence against him either. So I said, okay, so you can't convict him just based on what she said, because she's proven to be a liar. In fact, she should be prosecuted for lying on him like that. And the reality, here's what's really crazy to me, is that we live in a world where people don't understand that liars are all over the place. You want to tell me that there's no possibility whatsoever that this woman could be making this up? That it's just not possible? And so the thing is that, yeah, I mean, if there's no proof, then there's no proof. No proof. Remember that acquittal, or even he wasn't even acquitted, he wasn't even tried. But being not guilty is not the same as being completely innocent. But you can't be innocent or found not guilty with an accusation and have people treat you like you're guilty. An accusation is not the same as proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Those are two different things. And I think the other thing that got Angela in trouble with her pimps and overseers in the Democratic Party is this part about her trying to get a come up. I don't think she needed to say that, because you don't know. Again, you don't know if it's true or not. Maybe she is trying to get a come up. It's happened. It happens all the time. Even in the Bill Cosby situation, it was proven that there were some women who were making things up just so they can get paid. Janice Dickerson got caught in a lie, right on the trial, or right on the stand in the trial. So you can't tell me that there are Tierra KJ Williams. I see you're in here. You live in Hollywood. This is Miss Black Hollywood. She's all over Hollywood. You tell me that there aren't women that would make up a story to get a come up in Hollywood. Come on now, for real. For real. Like, how many times have you seen people that are like, yeah, I would make something up or tell a little lie if I can get some money out of him or get him to give me that movie role? So that's the reality of it. That's the reality. So you don't know. So the same way you don't know if Charlamagne did or did not do these things, you also don't know if she did or did not do these things. Why is it that when I say that about a black man, it's seen one way, but when I say that about a woman, it's seen a different way? Why is it? Well, because you want to believe a black man is a rapist. You want to believe a black man's a predator. You want to believe that a black man is capable of doing any horrific, animalistic thing that anybody puts out there. And that's just, and I'm going to say that that's just silly. It's wrong. You can't do that. You just can't do that. So, but I will say though, that, the bottom line at the end of the day, it comes down to facts and proof. So again, I don't like Angela Rye. I think that her motives behind this statement were not genuine. I think that she could be accused of victim blaming. When you make the definitive assumption or the definitive statement that Charlamagne didn't do something, and the definitive statement that this girl's on the come up, then yeah, they should go after your ass. And that's kind of what you earned anyway, because you've been in bed with these white folks and these damn liberals and these feminists forever. And feminists want to destroy black men. So I don't even know why you would even align yourself with that nonsense, but it is what it is. She can do what she wants. But at the end of the day, if you want to know what my position is, and I've not run away from this at all, I can tell you, when I've met Charlamagne, he's been respectful and kind to me. I do not know how he's treated everyone. In this situation, there is no proof that he assaulted anybody, but nobody knows what could have happened. But the question is, can you definitively destroy his career based on something that may or may not be true? I don't know if you can do that. But then again, there are people who are just like, no, like no, an accusation is the same as a conviction. Anybody can come up and just tell a lie. Like, seriously, this is it. Any hooker on the street could go out and tell a lie on anybody and get that man charged and have his career destroyed and have half the world believe her, especially if she knows how to tell a lie in a good way. Like, to prove me wrong, prove me wrong, prove me wrong, prove me wrong. I literally could be a drug addicted prostitute and find a black man, a powerful black man, and say, I worked with him on a movie set in 1977, and he touched my ass and called me a hoe. And there's no proof, no evidence, no nothing, and they will destroy that black man like he's a rapist. And if you think that that's okay, then you do not need to be here. You are not my friend. You are a predator. You are. They talk about rape culture, like, you know, so people facilitating rape culture and encouraging men to rape. Well, you've also got this I don't know, this other kind of rape culture where people are convincing each other to destroy any powerful black man that they see based on an accusation. The same way that you have victims on one side, you've got victims on the other side now too. You know, I'm not talking about the people that would do horrible things to people. I'm talking about the people who are innocent, the ones who just, you know, are just trying to live their lives, scared to death, scared to go out on a date, scared to tell a woman she looks good, scared to have sex because they don't know. Like, if I go in that bedroom with that white woman, she has the power to destroy my life and get me raped 1,000 times behind prison bars. That's a scary place to be for a black man, for anybody. And nobody is under more of that scrutiny, more of that pressure than the black man in America. So every single tear that a white woman cries over how badly she's being treated by this society, black men have it 100 times worse than you. You sleeping with the white man, he's taking care of you, whether you like it or not. You fight against it, you resist it, you're mad because he made you stay home and bake cookies for a couple hundred years instead of having you go out and work. Well, I know a lot of black women who would love to have a man let them stay home and bake cookies while he's off working. Our women had to go out and work because you killed most of their men and destroyed them and put them in prison and cut their balls off and emasculated them and destroyed them and created mental illness within their men. So a white woman can never have the same tears as a black man, but the white woman usually has the most tears and the biggest tears, and she has the loudest voice. That's why a white woman or it really a black feminist can accuse a black man of anything and be believed, even if she's not credible. But when black men talk about legitimate things that have happened to us, a black man could be murdered on videotape by a cop, and white women have nothing to say, no response. That ain't fair, and y'all know it. Y'all know it ain't fair, but you know you're black, so fairness is an illusion for us anyway. So I don't really know how this will pan out with Angela Rye or whatever. I would just say that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I think that her statement was made because that's her buddy, and I think that she's accusing this woman of something without any sort of proof of that. I think that she probably regrets what she said. I don't really think she's a good person. From meeting her, I didn't really like what I saw. And I think overall, what's probably going to happen, if you want my prediction, I think this is going to kind of blow over. I think Charlamagne's still going to be on the Breakfast Club. Life will go on. And I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I think, it's like, at what point do you decide that you should ruin somebody? I mean, I don't know. Y'all can tell me, please give me your opinion. Because at this point, I'm kind of lost in an opinion because I don't want to say it in a way that makes people think that I would not be sensitive to a sexual assault. We all should be. Everybody should be. Sexual assaults happen all the time, and people don't get convicted of it. People don't get, don't get incarcerated for it. But also false accusations happen all the damn time. And one of the things that really got to me was I remember when I mentioned false accusations, and I remember there was a speech I was supposed to give at the Black Graduate Student Association, and they and a bunch of black feminists said they were going to protest my speech because I said that black men get falsely accused of rape and that people should do something about it. I don't remember exactly what it was I said, but I remember when I say stuff, I think it through. I'm not a dumb guy, so I thought about what I said and I tried to be fair. But it was very interesting that they literally, I know what it was. I was warning black men I wrote an article warning black men to not sleep around because you have women out here who will lie on you. That's what it was. You can go look it up. That's literally what I said. I said, black men, don't be sleeping around. Don't be throwing your dick in every direction because you got some predators out here. If you're a good guy who wouldn't rape anybody, just remember that when you come out of that bedroom, what that woman says is going to have a lot more weight than what you say. And nobody, and even if it can't be proven, they'll still convict you as if it could be proven. And I remember they were so mad that they literally were like, we're going to protest Boyce's speech. And I was like, fuck you. Like, you're going to protest me because I'm supporting and defending my brothers and because I'm defending the black community? I'm defending somebody's son. I'm defending somebody's uncle, nephew, cousin. No, that's wrong. You can't do that. You cannot. I know you're mad. I know you got your issues. I know you're mad at your daddy because he abandoned you. I know you're mad at your ex-boyfriend because he might have mistreated you. All of that. But you can't tear down the good black men along with the bad people. You can't tear down every single man you see just because you're mad at a man that you used to have to deal with back in the day. You got to know how to learn balance like everybody else. Just like me, I can't go through life talking about I want to put a machete in the head of every white person because some white person mistreated me. That would be wrong. That would be wrong. And so the fact of the matter is that this whole conversation is hard to have because the whole conversation has gotten stupid. It's gotten crazy. It's lacking common sense. It's gotten it's gotten ridiculous, and that's it. So anyway, that's all I have to say. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out. I'm gonna look and see what some of you all have to say about it. Somebody says Ruby D, that's why I'm not supporting him. Okay. Adrian says, hi, Dr. Boyce. Hey, Adrian. Ruby D says, whoa. Gavin says he can't be convicted of something if it was already educated in court, double jeopardy. Now, that's interesting. So Gavin's a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Gavin, he probably knows more about it than I do. Let me see here. I don't know if Ruby D was saying that she was saying she can't support me. I don't know if that's true or not, but if you can't support me, then that's okay. I don't care. I'm not here for supporters. Let's see here. Alan says I was falsely accused while in the army because her husband was going to divorce her. I had no clue she was married. Wow. Renee says the situation happened with a 15-year-old and not an adult woman. To me, that should be the issue. Yeah. That's true. That is true. You can't sort of, that's harder to defend, right? The fact that she was so young. Let's see. Kathleen says I'm definitely going live to discuss the Charlamagne case tonight. Okay. All right. So everybody go follow the sister and hear what she has to say. Let's see. Nakia says his mother dealt with it the way she wanted it done. Her mother dealt. Yeah, that's true. Somebody said, did he not knowingly provide alcohol to her? Yeah, if he did, and he was convicted and he got 3 years probation, then he's paid his debt to society. So the crimes for which there was evidence, he has paid the price for that, right? So that's very different from the deeper crime that he was accused of. And I think that what we got to understand is that, first of all, Nicole Compton, an attorney in the Black Business School, was telling our students the other day that literally anybody can accuse you of any crime. Anybody can accuse you of any crime and get you charged with that crime, and it can go on your record that you were charged with this crime, even if you didn't do it, even if it was a false accusation, even if it's your neighbor who just hates your guts, who just decided I want to go crunk on her ass and tell a lie. You can still be charged and accused, and it can become a mess. Now, somebody's saying FDMG donation. Hey, boys, call me. I see a picture of Umar Johnson, but it doesn't. I don't know if that's Umar. If it is Umar, then I maybe hit me up and send my manager an email, manager@boycewatkins.com. I have nothing against Umar. I just kind of got rattled by that. I'm seeing this person constantly asking me to call him. I'm not gonna call, but maybe I don't know. I don't have anything to say about that because I don't want to start no shit. Let's see here. Jerry says he got 3 years, not 3 months. Yeah, probation. Yep. Romes says, why did the mom tell her not to press the issue? I think the mother didn't want her to get the scrutiny, which makes sense, right? Because a mother wouldn't want, their child to go through that a lot of times. Inez says, Dr. Boyce, you should watch this video. It contains his own words admitting to this type of behavior. Yeah, that video about the Spanish fly, he sent me a text about it, and Charlamagne's argument was that Spanish fly is an aphrodisiac. And I think, I'm not mistaken, I got to look at the text again, but I think that the statement I think that the assumption was that they both knew that they were taking Spanish fly. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I kind of believe that if you gave somebody something and they didn't know they were taking it, then of course that's not cool. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. I also think on the woman's side or anybody's side, really anybody, not even just women, don't drink or smoke stuff where you don't know where it's been. That's just a fact. Guys, I saw a great, not great story, a scary story about a guy who took a hit of weed, and the weed had been dipped in something, and literally it caused him the next day to go on a killing spree. He killed 3 or 4 people and didn't even remember that he did it, but they charged him as if he knew, right? And so that's the difference. That's the dichotomy between being black and being white. If you're a white woman, then the assumption is that if you were drunk and you had sex, even if you were actively participating, you still aren't held responsible for what you did, and you could still say somebody raped me because I was under the influence. But this young black man who was high and drunk when he went on the killing spree, they treated him as if he knew what he did. So you don't get white woman treatment in this criminal justice system, but that's been the case for hundreds of years. I don't know why you think it would change right now just because you had a black president. Let's see here. Tiara says you should be aware of what you're drinking. That is true. Now, she was only 15, as Inez says. You are right. Let's see. Inez says he admits she was drugged. I got to go look at the text again, or I got to listen to it again. I did listen to it once. I don't remember him saying that he drugged her, but clearly, I mean, if that's what he said, then that's what he said. I'm not even telling anybody what to think. I just want to say that. I'm kind of breaking out all the facts and kind of analyzing, laying it out there. What you want to build from this is kind of on your, on you. I just think that, at the end of the day, when you're talking about convicting somebody, facts and evidence have to matter. But then again, does it matter in the court of public opinion? Nobody knows. So anyway, I got to get out of here, guys. I hope you guys have a good day. And I'm sure somebody's pissed off at me for what I said. Either I didn't go too far to one direction or the other. The only directions I can go far and the only clarity I can give is, one, I told you, when I met Charlamagne, he's always been intelligent and respectful. But 2, I can't vouch for what he does in public or what he did in the past. 3, when I met Angela Rye, I didn't get a good impression. I didn't get a good vibe, and neither did any of the people around me. So I'm not a big fan of her as a human being. 4, I think facts and evidence should matter when it comes to convictions. You can't convict somebody just on an accusation. But 6, or maybe that's 5, I don't know, maybe I'm losing count. But I'm like Bro Man. Remember Bro Man from the 5th Flow? Like, that's me right now, right? So next, 5th, let's call it 5th. I think that in the court of public opinion, people do have a right to believe what they want to believe. And I think that what creates the paradox is that you have so many sexual assaults that are not charged, that are not convicted, and that leads people to be very skeptical and to believe what they're going to believe. But then next, which might be 7, I think that we have a problem in our society where nobody believes a black man when he's a victim of a crime. Everybody believes a white woman, and then that translates to black feminists. Black feminists align themselves with white women who are aligned with Margaret Sanger, who want to exterminate black people. And basically, sort of under that umbrella, there's just sort of this idea that, you hate the black man, because you're a white supremacist. Well, I hate the black man because my daddy wasn't shit. So let's all get together and let's go destroy every black man in our path. Let's not even ask any questions. Let's not get any facts. Let's not get any data. Let's just go destroy every black man we see, because we all know that black men are a virus to the planet. And against that, I resist. So, but then I think the trade-off is that for the men who resist that, you must go out of your way to support and protect those women who support and protect your community, right? So that means that as men, we have an obligation to, be honest about sexual assault. That means if you see it happening in your family, or you're hearing about it, or whatever, or even just the disrespect of women that's occurring in hip hop, the mistreatment of women that's occurring in some of our families, we have to stand up for that too. You can't sort of have it, one way all the time. You can't have it where you got the women that will defend you, but you don't defend them when the time is right. In many of our greatest, Black Power movements during the Black Panther, era, we treat women horribly. To this day, in the so-called conscious community, I see men talking about women in ways that make them sound like a Klansman. I mean, it's just terrible. Some of the things they say about black. Look at hip hop. Some of this dumbed down mumble rap talks about black women like they ain't nothing but garbage. So why wouldn't they be upset about this? So you got to have an ability to see the lens in both directions if you want to truly understand what's going on. So that's it. I'm about to go, guys. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. And it was real. I love you, and that's all. Peace.